as of right now, WWE Hell in a Cell honestly isn't stacking up to be what I thought it was going to be. I've really loved all of the pay-per-views that have been on there. I thought they've been a real deal of a steal to check out. You know, basically SummerSlam was stacked to the gills. Payback was awesome. Battleground was good this year. Night of Champions was a real fun show to watch. Even though there wasn't a finish at the end of the show, with Dean Ambrose coming in and getting John Cena disqualified, I thought it was very, very fun. Going into Hell in the Cell, you would think that we're going to get a payoff for these last two matches with John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. When you go to, SummerSlam, John Cena, maybe you can say he wasn't ready to have a match with Brock Lesnar, but he came back. He didn't really change his persona, but you can say maybe he trained hard. He went out there, he lifted some weights, he got stronger, he got bigger. He was able to go out there and he was able to actually, stand up and have a fight with Brock Lesnar. It wasn't just trying to survive. Cena got loads of offense in on this match. He looked real strong, but just he got screwed by Seth Rollins coming and running in with the Money in the Bank. Making sure that Cena didn't win and then cashing in almost and taking the opportunity to become champion. You would think Hell in the Cell is an easy thing. You have two different feuds. You've got Ambrose versus Rollins. You've got Cena versus Brock. Basically every time Ambrose wants to fight Rollins, Rollins runs away and he doesn't stand up and fight the fight like a man would. And then Cena versus Brock, it came down to somebody running in and making that match not happen. Was the only reason why we didn't have a finish. That's the only reason why Cena didn't beat Brock. I honestly do believe in my heart that Cena was going to get the 3 count at that point. And if you don't think that was going to happen, I don't think you understand what 4 FUs are. And just throw them up on the shoulders and bam, right down there on the center of the ring. You're going to get the 1, 2, 3. Most of the time, Cena only needs to hit one of them in order to get it. Brock is a big bad man, and I understand if he kicks up on 3 of them. But 4, no way in the world is that going to happen. I mean, you think of WrestleMania this year, even Undertaker wasn't able to survive 4 finishers from Brock Lesnar. So no doubt in my mind that was going to happen. But I mean, you put the cell around that. I know that if you go back in time and you watch all the Hell in the Cell matches, there's ways in them, there's ways out of them. But it just fits what Hell in the Cell was made out to be, was to keep the fight inside the ring area. Nobody coming in, nobody going out. It just easy. Brock versus Cena, Hell in the Cell. Who does not buy the WWE Network? Who does not buy the pay-per-view from their local cable subscriber? Who isn't going over to their friend's house to make sure they're going to watch this? That's easy buys right there. I know from reading a lot of stories out there on the internet that when Brock Lesnar became champion, he went to WWE and he told them, hey, I'm your champion now. I want you guys to be able to use me. Let's rework my contract so that way, you guys can use me as much as you need me. You can call me up, send me to house shows if you want to. You can send me to Monday Night Raw. You can send me to SmackDown. You can send me to the pay-per-view. I'll work whatever you want me to work. I think everybody knows that when Brock Lesnar came back from the UFC to go back to WWE, a place that he never really wanted to be, a place that he never really liked in the first place. That's the reason why he split on us after 2 years back in the early 2000s, was he didn't like the travel, he didn't like being around everywhere. Brock didn't even really like UFC that much because he didn't like having to go to shows and be away from his family. He likes shacking up in his shack out in the middle of nowhere and just basically being with Sable, being with I can't remember if he has a son or a daughter. That's what he does. He likes being with his family. He likes trucking out there and killing deers, killing mooses, killing, bears, whatever lives in the wildlife around him, and then basically sacking it up on his back and bringing it all the way back to that cabin and just living his life that way. That's what Brock likes to do. But Brock knows that UFC money and that early WWE money, that's not going to last forever. So he needed to, go back to work, and Vince was the place that brought him in. I mean, when Brock came to WWE in 2012, after WrestleMania 28 and had that awesome match with John Cena, I think that at that moment, I thought WWE had a steal. There was no way in the world you can screw up Brock Lesnar. But then you go and you see the match at WrestleMania 29, where Triple H gets to beat Brock. You go to what other match did Brock lose? Oh, the Cena match at Extreme Rules. I don't think that was horrible to lose the Cena match, but to lose a Triple H match, you got to be kidding me. That honestly did derail him. I think everybody who's poked fingers in what they're doing, honestly stepping up to the plate at WrestleMania 30 with Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker and ending the streak, definitely put a whole bunch of credibility on him. But most wrestling fans, even the ones that are fringe wrestling fans that, only get the big shows. I'm talking about Royal Rumble. I'm talking about WrestleMania. Maybe they get SummerSlam, and that's really it. Maybe they don't watch Monday Night Raw. Maybe they just go to websites and check out the spoilers about what's going down to sort of keep up to date, but they don't have a whole lot of time in their lives in order to do this. Even they can remember, Brock has lost before. If you want to make somebody look real strong, even if you go back to the old days, Hogan only worked the big shows. I mean, you had to pay to see him. You'd have to go to your house show. You'd have to go to a Madison Square Garden show, or you'd have to sit at home and you have to watch the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Survivor Series. That was it. You had to pay to see those 4 matches, or you had to go see WWE when they came to your area. That was it. That's what they could have done with Brock Lesnar. He could have beat Cena, that was non-title. He could have beat Punk like he did. He could have beat Triple H in all those matches, and then beat Undertaker. And then you're like, well, what's left for him to do? Oh yeah, the WWE title, the grandest, prize of them all in wrestling. That's what they could have done to push Brock Lesnar to the moon. And now that they got him there, I think everybody thinks that Brock is a credible guy. Everybody thinks when Brock is on television, that's a must-see guy. But honestly, everybody thinks of those 2 losses that came along the way. I wish we could see Brock in the Hell in a Cell, but honestly, if I had to lay my money on the table right now, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to try and go with a more, scaled back card. They don't think that if they put Brock on the card, they're going to be able to get their money back off the show, and they're not looking to lose a ton of money. But I don't understand how you don't take that gamble. This is a must-see match. Cena versus Brock in a Hell in a Cell. What are you going to do? If you don't do it here, you have to do it at Survivor Series. And what's the point of having another match? That's the reason why you have these stipulation pay-per-views, is to have damn good stipulation matches that mean something. I think everybody thought they were crazy in 2010 when they went to this new stage, when they added Money in the Bank as a pay-per-view, when they added, Hell in a Cell as a pay-per-view, TLC as a pay-per-view. These were special matches that were set out for special times and special feuds. If we would have known that Edge and John Cena would have came down to a TLC match, and I believe it was Unforgiven. There's no way in the world we would have paid attention to that whole feud when they kept trading wins back and forth in pay-per-views, trying to find out who the better man was. And that was an awesome feud. But I think if we would have known that once we got to Unforgiven, they were going to have that TLC match in Toronto, in Edge's hometown, I don't think anybody would have cared about the ride to get us there. But I think, definitely, when you look back at 2010, the first year they had Hell in a Cell, and you saw Undertaker versus Kane, and, you saw they had one match, they had another match, and then all of a sudden you see this Hell in a Cell, you're like, well, they're going to be in the Hell in a Cell match, so there's no way of paying attention to the second match along the way. If they do, go with no Brock, they do have a real cutback. You've got Dean Ambrose coming along really strong as a real almost star. He's almost really there. You got Seth Rollins, Mr. Money in the Bank, has good matches with just about everybody. He's really going to miss Rob Van Dam and Chris Jericho not being around, because those are 2 guys that really delivered with him, whether if it was a match on Raw or a match on SmackDown. They didn't care. They went out there. I wish I would have saw some matches of those guys on house shows, because I think those would definitely would have been, classic matches that you would remember for the rest of your life. And if you did get to see Jericho versus Rollins, or you did get to see RVD versus Rollins on a house show, you guys are very lucky. Let me know what you guys thought about that match, because there's no way in the world I don't think that could have delivered. You've got John Cena, your power horse, and you've got, Mr. Boring Randy Orton. And they're going to have to figure out where they're going to go from here. There's some people thinking they're going to go with some sort of a triple threat match, where they're going to put all 3 guys together to sort of separate their issues. I didn't like the fact that Cena and Ambrose teamed up on Monday Night Raw. I think you definitely should have kept something sort of like CM Punk and John Cena, where they don't like each other. Cena doesn't like Punk, Punk doesn't like John Cena, and there's nothing they can do to really straighten out, their ways. They shouldn't be teaming up. Dean Ambrose, going back to the days of the Shield, doesn't like John Cena. He wants to become bigger than John Cena. He wants to be the flagship of the company. He doesn't want to be, rubbing shoulders with John Cena. If it was up to me, I would have had Ambrose attack Cena in the tag match, just as so that he is really a wild card, that you can't trust Ambrose with anything. He'll turn on his partner, anything to make himself look better. I think that, they didn't take that gamble because they didn't want to turn Ambrose into this sort of, heelish character. They want to keep running with him as this babyface. They want to see how far this, this wild card of a character can go. But you put Ambrose, you put Cena, you put Rollins in the Hell in a Cell. It's going to be a match. It's not going to be a good match. It's not going to be a great match. It's just going to be a match. I don't even really know how you use Hell in a Cell as a three-way. They've done this before. I just watched this match from Hell in a Cell 2011. You had Alberto Del Rio, John Cena, and CM Punk all in there at one time, and it just didn't have the same feel. It just felt like a long, drawn-out match. It had a really cool ending with R-Truth and The Miz running in, and of course, the Triple H and the whole roster trying to break down the Hell in a Cell to get in there, and the cops from New Orleans finally getting inside a Hell in a Cell and arresting Miz and R-Truth, and which led to, Triple H being thrown out of power, which was a dumb, stupid angle on Monday Night Raw. One of the two worst that they did that year. That really sort of derailed everything that was really going on with what they were doing. But some people think that they're going to have singles matches, because if you have the three-way, what do you have Randy Orton for? Do you really just give him a pay-per-view off? The roster is so limited right now. Nobody should be getting time off. But you got what some people think they'll do is they'll make a number one contenders match, or maybe not a number one contenders match because they're not going after a champion, but basically where the winner of the match gets to pick their fortune. He gets to pick what's going on in the future. Some people think we're going to get Ambrose versus John Cena one-on-one. The winner of that gets to go on and face Seth Rollins. Both of them have the problem with them, of course. Ambrose is still pissed at Rollins for breaking up the Shield. Cena is pissed because he blew his shot at the championship. Cena versus Rollins is a match, where he's going to get some revenge. But Ambrose's Rollins is the bigger draw. Ambrose and Rollins, if this is what they're going to do, honestly, should be the main event. And if it's not a main event, both of those guys are going to come together and say, you know what? They're screwing us over. They're putting us in the middle of the card. We're going to go out and show them that our feud is bigger than anything on the roster. Because if you fall back on what they're doing here, you're going to end up with John Cena against Randy Orton for the millionth time. And I just defended this match not that long ago, talking about their TLC from 2013 at the very end, where they were, unifying the championship in that ladder match. And I thought that was an awesome match. And people went ballistic over this match. Like, they promised this in 2009, this would never be a match again. And, here they are again. But they're two of the best guys in the company. But right now, in 2014, with this roster, I don't know what you do. You're just screwing yourself over by not having Brock Lesnar on here, because I can't stand up and I can't defend Cena versus Orton in 2014 on a Hell in a Cell show in a match that doesn't matter for anything other than we're just going to try and fill up this card and get it over with so we can get the Survivor Series, and that's where we're going to have a damn good show. I don't know where Survivor Series is going to be, but I apologize to the people of Dallas, because I think Dallas is a city that's getting Hell in a Cell, and it just doesn't seem like this is going to be a great of a card. And I love WWE. I talk highly of almost everything those guys do, but I can't defend it. You got AJ and Paige wrestling for the Divas Championship for about the 100th time now, it seems like. You got the Bellas going at it. And that's basically a feud that nobody really wants to see, other than the producers of Total Divas. From there, I guess they're doing a three-way, which is going to be you got Dolph Ziggler, you got The Miz, and then you got Cesaro. That's going to be in there. Besides for that, I can't really picture anything else that's going on this pay-per-view right now, and it just doesn't seem great to me. I